Brown, former Arizona Cardinal, two-time All-American at the University of Virginia, and you're watching Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network. Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 6, Episode 2, with your host, Joe Dillard Jr. In today's episode, we've got Dr. Linda J. Bell, Athletic Director at Dillard University and former CIAA Volleyball Player of the Year.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe Dillard, bringing you Season 6, Episode 2 of our podcast as we welcome you back. We have a great guest on the air for you today as we have this guest who is a true pioneer who wears many hats and developed a career many wish to accomplish. I'm talking about three-sport collegiate athlete with volleyball, basketball, and softball, and earned a degree with business administration, an MBA, and a doctorate in business administration and innovation strategy. You hear me? I am talking about a two-time CIAA Volleyball Coach of the Year, still making an impact, now serving as Dillard University's, yeah, you heard it, Dillard University's athletic director. The great Dr. Linda Bell will be joining us on Commonwealth Sports Talk. And I'm telling you right now, tune in. She's got some great gems for you. This podcast is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports, Grind and Pray, and those at Commonwealth Sports Talk. And without further ado, let's get right into the interview. And welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk as we have Season 6, Episode 2 with Dillard University, Dr. Linda Bell, Athletic Director. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. About yourself?
Wonderful. Another day in paradise is what I like to use. And as we go into deep dive into Dillard University and your role and how you play, we're going to go a little backwards first and start off with, your upbringing in the beginning and how the journey came about and how you put yourself in a position like this from the high school to college transition. So talk to me a little bit about how going from high school to college, being a three-sport athlete, and how you wanted to transition into administrative work.
So originally, I actually was raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and then I moved to Roanoke, Virginia. My grandmother was in Roanoke, Virginia. And so one of the things that got me into sports was a Miss Turk. She was a PE teacher. And so the first sport that I ever played, organized rather, because when you come from a major city, a metropolitan city, you don't know you're an athlete until you actually get somewhere where you're actually playing sports, right?
True.
So she was like, I think you should play softball, you throw well. And after softball season was over, we had a great season. She asked me I think you should go out for the basketball team. And I kept thinking, well, I don't know anything about basketball, right? So went out. One of the things that the coach said that I pay attention well and I listen well, so I follow instructions. So I made the team. So I was all excited. I told her about, me making the team. And so one of the things that I've always was good at was following instructions. Somebody asked me to do something. This is exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to go outside that realm. So needless to say, through my whole career, I've always been just a straight up fundamental kind of player. Athleticism come along with it after you get all those other things that go along with that. Just constant practice and constant hands on ball. So
awesome.
getting into high school, one of the things, Roland Lovelace was my high school coach. And one of the things that he said that we had to, before basketball season, either we're running cross country, we're playing another sport. And so it was just ingrained in us that we would play another sport before basketball season started. Over the summer, we always had to do, summer camps, and we always had to play in, like the evening basketball on certain days of the week. So we would constantly stay busy throughout the summer as well. After basketball season, I went to softball, right? Initially, I started off in track, and then I was like, I think softball is my thing. So I continued to play softball. And then Miss Brown, who was one of our physical education teachers, she also was the head volleyball coach. She's somebody that I looked up to and I talked to all the time. And so, of course, I was going to play volleyball for her because I loved her more than just a teacher. She was a friend. She was, everything, somebody we can confide into, somebody that gave us great advice. And so when you have those people in your life, you do not mind, riding in that journey with them and doing things that they ask you to do, because the only thing they're asking you to do is do things that will help encourage you and move you on to your future.
Yeah, it's very important to have a mentor in your life that you really feel like you can go through the wall with. I've used that quote a bunch of times in the previous episodes of different interviews, but having a mentor or coach figure that believes in you, win, lose, or draw, is a life tool lesson that you just can't really replace. And I'm telling you, it's something very valuable. So from athlete to administrator, how did that kind of transition? Like, we all have that day where we're, it's the senior year, or, how do I mentally click into this real world attempt? And so how was that for you? How did you transition, or did you transition? Did it fall into your lap? How did it happen?
So first, I really went to college to be a teacher. Believe it or not, I was a education major. And I wanted to major in business, but I was like, what do I do with that? So all through high school, I had the opportunity to be in like the business club, the FBLAs and all this type of things. I actually took the trips and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew, but then I was like, I wanted to coach still. I wanted to coach. I wanted to still be involved with kids, but I didn't know exactly how that was going to look for me. And so, the whole time I was probably one of the first people to graduate from St. Paul's College with a business degree with secondary education. But the other part of it is I came into St. Paul with, I think it was 8 of us that came in together that were freshmen that all played all sports. We were just athletes and we enjoyed each other's company. Wow. And we really just liked being around each other. We were true teammates on and off the court. If you saw one, you saw the rest. We had a great time together, not saying that we didn't have no ups and downs, but it was sisterly love. And these were people that I formed a bond with for life. Awesome. And so just getting into athletics, I can remember doing my work study in the athletic department. And so part of that was, I'm getting to my senior year. I'm really not knowing what to do. The only thing I know is, okay, I'm having this great season, right? In basketball, I'm having these great seasons in all these sports, but what am I actually doing after that? So I wasn't thinking about I wasn't living that true moment. I was living for what's to come after. Like, what do I do with myself? And so Monique Smith is the lady that was a sports information director. And so what she did was she said, hey, Emory and Henry College is looking for a volleyball coach. I think you should apply for the job. And so I did. I was still a senior in college. And so one of the things I did is, and I actually drove to the interview. And I got the job, right? So I started off at Emory and Henry College. I was still in college on my way out. So I had my little offer letter, when I graduated. So I was excited about that. And so then I had some security in what I was going to be doing. And so I went to Emory and Henry. I think they were number 13 in the conference. We ended up finishing, I think, 4th place that first year. And then I moved on to Livingstone College after that as their volleyball coach. As you know, as a HBCU, I love my people. And so I went to work for Livingstone and actually started their softball program and started coaching. And it was a different feel, but at the same time, I felt home. I felt like I was at home.
At home. How was that start? Like starting a whole program from scratch? Like, I'm sure there was like some hiccups and hurdles along the way, but what was probably the most full circle moment starting that softball program?
I can remember actually having practices. Cliff Huff, who's now back at Livingstone as the athletic director, is the one that hired me there. And so I remember him coming to me asking me about wanting to start the softball program. They needed another women's sport. And I said, fine, I'll help you. And I can remember going through the motions of a practice one day, and one of the football coaches was actually sitting in my practice. He kind of gave me a clap, and he was like, that was a fundamental practice. It was so great. I felt like that was a good practice, but you didn't give them you. So, and I didn't understand what he meant by that. But then when he explained to me, what he said is giving your passion of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I left that practice a little like, okay, what is he talking about? Like, I'm used to being a fundamental player, right? You don't have to, I don't have to scream and holler for you to motivate me. But what he was telling me was this era of kids need the motivation, not the screaming and hollering, but
100%.
Just why do you do what you do? 100%. Why do you, where does that come from within you? So you got to kind of feed it to your student athletes. And needless to say, we had a great season, a great bunch of girls. And I was happy and excited for Livingstone to be able to support yet another female sport on the rise.
Yeah, that's an awesome feat there. And, with us being in that same realm, the generation before us would normally have great coaches or mentors tell us why. And if we didn't know that they were a great coach or mentor, we wouldn't know why, or maybe would question. And these days, now you can be a great mentor, but when you tell them what to do, you need to have substance with it. You need to have the why. Correct. You need to show that you care. You need to say how it's benefiting them. And that wasn't in the verbiage of coaches back when we grew up and in that form. So to have the ability to bring both of those and bridge it together to still be relatable to the children, the youth, to let them know that the journey is similar to what they're going through, you've experienced, along with being that mentor, I think is awesome for you to have this opportunity and position. So when did let's see here, let's talk about multiple hats and multiple stops. So you've been, obviously you mentioned a couple of stops you've had. What do you think was the best experience from having all of these different random opportunities to grow within your realm to lead you to where you are now? Like, how did each one kind of have its own niche and touch? Like, did you feel like you were gearing up to be an athletic director? Did you just kind of just taking on assignments as they were in front of you? Or how was your vision going through this process, working now, being on the administration side?
I think for me, I attended what is now Women's Leaders, but at the time it was called NACWA HERS. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times the athletes are in sports, as an athlete in college, you have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes, the certification, the preparation, to get ready for games. So people really don't know. And as a student athlete, you really don't know that. You just engage into the practice, what coach is telling you to do. They're managing your time, but you don't even get what the whole department of athletics is doing. Yeah. And so when I went to what I call NACWA HERS, but now Women Leaders in the 2000s, right? Mm-hmm. They really flipped my light bulb on about what athletics really is. What is it? What's going on behind the scenes? Why are we fighting so hard to engrave women and ensure that we have a stamp into this athletic world? What does it mean for us? And how do we do that? And what do we need to do in order to get to the places that we want to go? And so when I went to this conference, we stayed for a week. We stayed in Denver, Colorado. I could just remember it like it was yesterday. And just the educational pieces that I gathered from that networking, because that's what it was. I can remember all the people that was there, the people that I ran into, the people that I ran through with throughout my career. But actually, each role that I had was the pinnacle of going to the athletic director's role. Because I was a student athlete and I had to be exceptional in that. That's pressure for me on myself. Yes. When I go into the next role, I'm going to work different. I'm going to be exceptional in that. Those are things that I put on myself. One of my high school coach told me that self-discipline is the key to success. And I have my own self-discipline. I didn't have to have anybody saying, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to get this done. I knew that my work ethic was going to be different. And I always intend for my work ethic to be different everywhere I stop. I am definitely into what I'm doing. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And so I always make sure my work ethic is different. My work ethic has to be at the top. It has to be excellent. I have to be at the top of my game in order for me to get people to buy in, get the student athletes to buy in, be engaged. I be present. You know, I'm all of those things. And so every role, I make sure I'm present. And then when you can actually be present for a student athlete and get them and hear their story, the student athletes are going to go beyond for you. At every measure. It's not about just their talent that I want to get to know. I want to get to know their family. I want to get to know them as people. I want to know, what do you want to do in life and how can I help you get there? And so part of me is cultivating leaders throughout my career is just my stamp of what I want to do. I'm going to do it. It is my passion. I want kids to be on board with it. And coming to Dillard is, when I talked to the president, that was one of the things that she talked about, and her energy level is out of this world. And I love her passion for students. And she was just singing the same song that I was singing and on the same path that I was singing. And so for me, I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to help her grow Dillard, help Dillard get to the next stage of where we're trying to go and where she's trying to take this university. And so it was just a no-brainer for me.
Yes, that is a perfect transition right there. And I love that answer. And I can even go back into it with self-discipline is the key to success. And I believe that you've shown that on many, many levels in regards to being a multi-sport athlete, handling your business, 3 degrees, and then some coaching on many levels, and then also holding down administration in every angle, which is the athletic director's job. So how was that transition for Dillard? It's been 1 year, correct?
It's been 1 year. It's been a great year. One of the things that, we all say our mission statement with pleasure. Dillard University is a historically Black college that cultivate leaders who live ethically, think and communicate precisely, and act courageous to make the world a better place. We believe in that. We believe in that. We believe in that. We have our students believing in that. The expectation is to graduate. The expectation is to be a leader. We're cultivating leaders among leaders. I love that. We just love the fact that our student athletes we finished with a 3.07 GPA last year.
Amazing.
We won 4 of the 8 GCAC championships. We did over 2,500 hours of community service.
Wonderful.
The buy-in. Like I tell our student athletes, we cannot ask the community to engage in us if we're not engaging in them.
Talk about it.
It's a community effort.
Yes,
and it is. We're a community. We're trying to encourage students to come to Dillard, and you're going to get the experience that I think that you deserve. We are here and we are present. We want what's best for our student athletes. We want what's best for our students.
Yes.
And so I tell people, you come and you look at my staff. We're a diverse staff. We're a staff that has high energy. I love it. We lead by example. And like I tell my coaches all the time, you have to live like you coach. You have to be present. You have to be the person that you say you are outside of Dillard's campus. You got to be the same person when you walk in. We want to tell our truth. And our truth, kids can respect and they can see that.
I love it. That's a great gem. And I mean, like, people think that that's easy to just spit out and be like a sign that consistently says it, but to live it, walk it, do it, to make it sound so effortless, to be passionate about it, which goes back to your mission statement. I mean, like, passionate scholar, athletes who pursue purpose and progress to make the world a better place. Like, that is the betterment of that child, that student athlete, that kid that is attending Dillard University. So I really appreciate how much you're into the community. Now, with NAIA and this RISE movement, which is respect, inclusivity, support, and education, talk to me about that community work and how it goes back to the mission statement. Like, how far do you reach into the community?
So currently we have all of our, like today I have on a Son of the Saints, right? So that's one of our programs where we are creating a partnership with young men within the community that are part of this organization, and we're giving up our time and talent. We ask our student athletes, hey, on Mondays they have after school care. So if we want to volunteer and take our time over there, we do a lot of the festivals that they have. There's a lot of hospitality. There's always an event going on in New Orleans.
Wow.
And so we have plenty of events to volunteer for and to help the community out. We do a lot of even just youth groups. We work with a lot of youth groups. We actually tell the youth groups and their owners to send us a calendar. Send us a calendar of all your events for the year, and then we will plug ourselves into the event. They don't have to call and ask. We just do it.
Awesome.
It's just, again, kids want to go to college when they see kids like them, right? So we invite middle school kids into our gym. We are inviting the local coaches into our gym. We are now definitely ingrained in trying to recruit local kids. We want them to know that Dillard is your home as well. It's just, again, when you're in a city like New Orleans, kids got plenty of opportunities, 8 other colleges within the city. And so part of us is just saying, hey, Dillard is here. We want to be a part of your upbringing. We want to be a part of your future. And so part of us, we just kind of just ingrain ourselves into every aspect of New Orleans as we can.
Amazing. And in regards to New Orleans, being that Dillard is an historical Black college university, that is a great location to do the work. And, New Orleans is about 35% of the Black population, which is a high number on the demographics with the largest African-American population in metros. Mm-hmm. So like when you're talking about a metro city area, you have a lot of resources in front of you to utilize and teach these kids at Dillard University how to become productive citizens. So I really commend you on that one. Dillard University was a member of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference since 1981. It's one of the original members of that conference. How is it important for you guys to continue to be a model citizen through the conference and to yet continue to grow at the same time?
So, part of me is that we got to separate ourselves from the rest. Being a part of an original, it's fantastic. It's great. But we also got to move forward with where athletics is going. We added softball this year. We intend to add at least 3 other sports within the next 2 years. Nice. So right now we're doing competitive dance and cheer. So we got like 13 sports. Probably out of all the conference institutions, we probably have the most sports at. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to not only use athletics to grow kids and get them college degrees, but we have to be an example, right? We got to do everything the right way. We got to be honest. We have to be just people that good citizens. And so we want to show that with every institution that we compete with. My thing is to my coaching staff and to my administrative staff, we show hospitality when students come here. We give them things. We do things for opposing teams. It's important. When a team leaves Dillard's gym, I want to say, well, that was a great experience.
Yes.
Right. So I want the opposing team to come in and say they had a great experience at Dillard. And that's the purpose of athletics, right? We want to show competitive edge, but at the same time, we networking and we cultivating relationships, right?
Yes.
So that absolutely goes along with athletics. And so that's what I tell my student athletes, this is just good competition. It's not a hate. It's a competition that we play against another team, but we also, you never know who that person or that individual you'll meet down the road that you might end up being a business partner together. You might end up working in the same types of atmosphere. So you got to be able to, have good competition, but at the same time, you got to be able to cultivate the relationship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. In the hat of an athletic director, how hard is it to balance all of your sports? Like I know so much love to give, so much effort to give, but I'll be even more specific, like with facility management or with the upgrades of facilities in that regard. Like how do you continue to keep everybody on the same page, yet understand that each project is different and separate and may not affect every sport at each.
Yeah, coach, every coach got an excuse, right? Hey, I need this. So, the fantastic thing is that I played 3 sports, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can't give, and then I coached. So I was already on the end of speaking like they would be speaking in my head, right? Because I was a former coach of 20 years. Yes. And so I try to, the first thing I did was when I came in is not only did I increase some of their salaries, I did that because I understood what we were in, right? And I understand the grind. I understand what they got to do. Mm-hmm. So one, sight unseen, with how they coach. That's the first thing I did. Like, okay, I want you to know that I'm for real about what I'm doing. Here's an increase, right? Because now I got to, And this is not trying to get you on my side. This is telling you I'm serious about what I'm doing. And I want you to be serious about what you're doing. So I don't want you to have to pick and choose between your family and working 4 jobs over here to do this and do that. I really want you to buy into your coaching. The next thing that I did was I went and evaluated each's coach. What do they have? What do they need? And so I actually bought every team last year something that they needed, and the coach got to choose. So every team.
That's amazing.
So I did away and cut down my budget and gave each coach something that they needed. It was important to them. And so I made that happen. Facility wise, the first week, 2 weeks, we started making some changes. I wanted my game environment to look better, right? Okay. So we went starting from the bench down to the chairs. HBCU Plus, thank God for them too. They gave us a digital table at that time. So we got a digital table. We bought some chairs. We painted the gym. We did a whole bunch of things that just needed to be done. And so when the kids start seeing those things, guess what happened to their athletic game? They start elevating because guess what? She for real. She for real about what she's trying to do, right? And so now, like I told them, if I'm investing in you, it's time for you to invest in us. Right?
Correct.
And so, and I, like I said, I know that I got the athletes buy-in. They understand that I'm serious about what I'm doing. So it's just a manifestation. That's what I call it. You know, if the leader shows up every day and hands-on, then the student athletes cannot complain.
Nope.
And they cannot. So when they see me every day working hard here at practices, here at games,
what's their excuse?
Present in the building. And then not only that, they also see the fundraising happening and the facility changing. So when they see those things, then they know it's for real. And so they starting to step their game up. And just like I asked the coaches, you'll get a different type of athlete once they see all these measures being met. And not only we're elevating, not only as student athletes, wise, you're going to see yourself in a different realm. So it is going to separate us a little bit from other institutions, because if we had 2 sports, we could pour all our resources in 2 sports, but we carrying 13, we probably end up with 15, right? So that looks a little different when you can have, if it's a mandate that we had, like everybody had 10 sports, that it'll look a little different with everybody being across the board the same.
Correct.
But if you can have 2 or 3 here and somebody had 5 here and then Dillard has 13 or 14, it looks a little different.
Big different. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think in this first year, you've done an awesome job of laying the foundation and pillars that you intend to set, showing them the groundwork and putting it in. How hard is it, on a lighter note, how hard is it for you to stay away, though? Like, you're talking about coaching, playing 3 sports. I'm sure, like, if you could be physically active with them at times, you may go and show them a thing or two. Who knows, but at the same time,
that always happens every now and then, right? It's always the basketball kid that always thinks that, hey, so when they do actually see me in the gym making a few shots, they can't believe it, right? Then I said, that never goes away, right? Yep. And so we have our blue and white game. So I always get to coach, whatever sport we're playing, the blue and white game. So, but trust me, the conversations that I have with my coaches monthly, because I meet with my coaches monthly just to hear them out, some expectations. How can I help them? To hear the things that they go through sometime, I'm like, nope, I'm okay. I'm okay over here. Right. So, so I get it, the change in the student athlete and the change in everybody want to specialize in a space. Remember, we had to play the role we had to play. It was, I need you to be a shooter today, a post the next day, then we had to gravitate towards that. But now, a lot of kids want to specialize in what they specialize in. And so it's a little different, but for me, I can stay definitely in my office and listen to my coaches and support them through their journey and try to help them get to the next side of things.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's in retrospect, it's an honor to have you first and foremost again. Like, just the knowledge that you possess and the path that you took. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that it's not straight out of college to the one you want. But if you continue to put your head down and grind, or you continue to be adamant about what it is you're being professional in, or your craft, then a lot of times you you definitely will look up and see yourself on the right path. And I really think you're a big role model to a lot of young ladies, let alone boys as well. I mean, I don't see why a boy wouldn't look at you and be impressed and wanting to be like you and do all the things necessary. So you definitely hit home in all phases of it, and a great representative of Virginia as well. So thank you for your time. Anything you want to say? Want to give a little shout out to Dillard University or anybody?
Dillard always gets their good shout outs from all of us. Again, we cultivate leaders at Dillard. It's important for us, and it's important for us to, be a part of what's happening in the world right now. And so we just want to be present as a university, and we want parents to know that, Dillard is a place that you should really look at. It's a place where these kids are getting a great education. The education is awesome. We're one of the oldest, universities with one of the best nursing programs.
Nice.
And so it's just so many jewels here in Gentilia, right? So I just encourage everybody to take a look at Dillard and see how we fit the mold. And again, it's 8 universities here in New Orleans, and I feel safe and comfortable here. And I appreciate Mr. Joe giving me a call and having this opportunity to use this platform to really share light on what's going on with Dillard. We got kids all over the country. We probably got a little over 250 athletes now. And so I encourage everybody to just check us out. We also have a free platform of HBCU Plus that we stream all of our home games. Awesome. And so people will get an opportunity to see what really goes on during our game day operations.
Love it. I just pure jewels. And again, thank you for your time. And with Dillard University, we hope to see bigger and better things as you are leading the helm. We're talking about 2-time volleyball, 3-sport athlete, woman of many hats, Dr. Linda Bell. Thank you so much for joining Commonwealth Sports Talk.
All right. Thank you so much.